Hey, what's good, fam? It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. Hope you are having a restful weekend with your family. I'm coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama on Sunday, November 15th. I'll jump right into it. I've been told that LSU and Alabama, the makeup game, looks very promising. As we talked about on BamaInsider.com recently, there was two scenarios that have been kicked around. And after listening to Greg Sankey, it looks more and more like LSU and Alabama will get their date this season. Now, this is how things are shaking up. Now, it's not official. We'll wait for the official word from the SEC. But reading between the lines and kind of, putting together the information and the intel that we have learned, the schedule will look like this going forward for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Again, this is not official, just what we're hearing at the moment. And when the schedule does change, we'll bring the official announcement right here to Bama Insider, whether you're a subscriber on BamaInsider.com or right here on YouTube. So it would be Alabama versus Kentucky on November 21st, a game that is already scheduled to be played on the 21st. Then you would have Alabama versus Auburn, another game at Bryant-Denny Stadium as scheduled on November 28th. And then Alabama at LSU. The game was supposed to be taking place this past weekend. That game will now be December 5th in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Ed Orgeron said he wanted to play that game. Nick Saban obviously wanted to play that game for many reasons. So it looks like Alabama and LSU will have their date after all. I know a lot of Alabama Crimson Tide football fans very happy to hear that news. Very happy to get an opportunity to see Alabama and LSU. I mean, it's part of the college football fabric, right? We're used to seeing that game every single season, and having that taken away just doesn't make it feel like the college football season, in my opinion. And plus, I think those two teams have some things that they need to figure out. And I think that Nick Saban is very eager to take on Ed Orgeron for several different reasons, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Alabama's final regular season game would be Alabama at Arkansas, which would be on December 12th of 2020. The SEC championship game scheduled for December 19th in Atlanta, Georgia. And remember, everything is tentative because we've seen the schedule continue to change week to week. So we'll keep you posted as we go forward in this ever-changing 2020 college football season. I think when you look at Alabama and LSU, I'm glad that game is going to take place for a couple of reasons. Number one, you want a complete schedule for both of these teams. We obviously want everybody to be safe, but Alabama and LSU, those teams have worked hard to get to this point. Those teams deserve every opportunity that they get for the players' sake to create value for themselves and also play actual college football, right? I think from an Alabama perspective, it's a redemption game, just like the game against Auburn is. And I think when you continue to look at playoff resumes, Alabama, the number one team in the country right now, needs all the victories and all the style points that they can get. Right? This is a game about style points. When we look at the Heisman Trophy, for example, and I know that's all rat poison, but things like that matter. And you need your time in the limelight to showcase your ability to be the number one team in college football. Ohio State, Notre Dame, those teams keep creeping up along with Florida. We'll talk more about those teams in just a second. But point is, Alabama and LSU, glad to see it being made up for the 2020 college football season. Again, when the final announcement comes out, we'll bring that to you right here on BamaInsider.com. Other quick item of note before we get moving forward is I've been told that there's been a mini COVID outbreak within the Alabama Crimson Tide football roster. I know that several players are going to miss this next game on November 21st against Kentucky. From my understanding, there's no marquee players that have been affected by this. Now, of course, things can change. More players can get tested, for these next coming days up into the Kentucky game. But from what I understand, let's just call it a handful. Now, again, I can't say the particular players that have been affected by COVID because of privacy issues, but I do know that there has been, let's call it a mini outbreak within the team. And I think it's something that's affecting not only Alabama, but every single team across the landscape of college football. So we'll keep you posted on that as we continue to move forward. And again, Nick Saban will address the media on Monday, November 16th for his Monday press conference going into this next game against Kentucky. And I'm sure he'll notify the media and everybody else about his team and about their roster information going forward. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Again, it doesn't look like there's any marquee players, from my understanding, that are in this mini COVID outbreak. Of course, things can change. Alabama Crimson Tide still number one in college football. The Crimson Tide and LSU obviously postponed, so the Crimson Tide still at 6-0 on the season. And I think when you look at kind of the top teams in college football right now, I'll talk about my top five, my top six kind of going into this next week in November. And currently, and I'd be curious to hear from you in the comment box if you could drop your top 5 college football teams as of right now in the comment box. Okay, so here are my top 5. I'll actually say top 6 teams as of November 15th. I have Alabama at 6-0. All right. I mean, clearly they have the resume. Clearly what they've done so far through SEC only play has been very impressive, to say the least. Now, 2, 3, and 4, it's a little bit more tricky than I would think. I mean, right now, the momentum that Florida has, I definitely want to jump them up there, but I have such a hard time jumping them over Texas A&M. Because Texas A&M beat Florida head-to-head before I get to those teams. The number 2 team I have, let's go with Notre Dame at 8-0. I mean, I watched them play against Boston College. I'm not overly impressed with Notre Dame. I think they're definitely, top 5 worthy. Number 2, it's just hard for me to put them at that spot, but I'm gonna do that because Ohio State has only played 3 games, right? So I think Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State with their 3-0 record. Ohio State's game, of course, against Maryland, which we are all eagerly awaiting for because Maryland has been playing lights out with Talia Tagovailoa, right? That game was canceled, straight up canceled. So that game is not even going to be made up just because the Big Ten didn't allow for time to be made up within their schedule. And then the number 4 team, I have Clemson. Clemson at 7-1 on the season. Now, they did lose that game against Notre Dame without their quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, and those 2 teams will have a rematch for the ACC championship game. And you got to like Clemson in that game. Trevor Lawrence at the helm at quarterback. So before it's all shaken out, I think, it's going to be Alabama and Clemson for sure, and probably Ohio State. We'll see what happens with that 4th spot kind of going forward. But, Notre Dame certainly has a great opportunity to be one of those top 4 teams all said and done. Number 5 team, I'm going to go with this is tough because I personally think that Florida is the better team, but I have such a hard time because Texas A&M beat Florida head-to-head. So I'll go with Texas A&M, even though, oddly enough, I feel that Florida is the better team right now, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. And I'm sure in your top 5, a lot of people are going to put Florida. I mean, the coaches poll put Florida ahead of Texas A&M. But, I mean, head-to-head, I just couldn't do that. It'd be like still ranking Clemson above Notre Dame when Notre Dame beat them head-to-head. And I think we all kind of feel the same way that Clemson is the better team. But for right now, we'll put the Aggies. And the Aggies, if they continue to win out, they're going to be, certainly a top 5, top 6 team when all is said and done. A couple key dates to note going forward. The official college football playoff rankings will drop on November 24th. Now, those are the rankings by the College Football Playoff Committee. So, again, those will drop on November 24th. Right now, we just have the AP and the coaches poll with the final selection day tentatively scheduled for December 20th. That's a day after the SEC championship game. And, of course, everything could change. People are starting to talk about even the college football playoffs being pushed back. Currently, the college football playoffs are scheduled for Friday, January 1st with the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. The national championship, as of now, will be played on Monday, January 11th at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. Everything seems like it could change right now, so who knows? And, we'll keep you posted at Bama Insider. All right, let's take a closer look at the Florida Gators and their incredible offense. You got to think when you look at college football offenses and the top performing offenses, you put Florida right up there. Kyle Trask has been fantastic at the quarterback position. We'll talk about him more in just a second. He's been completely balling out. You look at Florida's last 3 games, 63-35 against Arkansas. They beat Georgia 44-24, similar fashion to what Alabama did to the Bulldogs. Then they also beat Missouri, 41-17. Kyle Trask has been lights out. That offense is a type of offense that can clearly put up points, and they are on pace to play in the SEC championship against Alabama if Alabama continues to win out. That would be a fantastic matchup, and I think if you're an Alabama fan, you look at that offense and what they can do, and you got to be a little bit worried. Kyle Pitts, he's going to be back after suffering an injury against Georgia. The offense can move the football clearly. Dan Mullen has done a great job fine-tuning that offense. So let's see how Florida continues to progress moving down the backstretch. Their final games include Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Tennessee, and LSU. Actually, Florida has had 2 games that have been postponed because of COVID. All right, let's look at the latest Heisman Trophy odds. These odds are from VegasInsider.com. Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Kyle Trask, all with the same exact odds to win the Heisman Trophy. Now, each Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, and Kyle Trask have odds of 5-2. Basically, the implied probability as of November 15th is 28.6% for each of those guys to win the Heisman Trophy. Let's dive into the quarterback numbers right here and compare these quarterbacks. And it looks like a 4-horse race going in, which is no surprise. I mean, with the addition of Kyle Trask completely balling out. So we'll take it from the top and we'll look at Mac Jones. He's played in 6 games, 139 of 177, passing on the year, 2,100 yards, close to 2,200 yards actually, 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 78.5% passing. That efficiency rating completely stands out to me. He's got a rating of 210.3. And his efficiency, as we all have talked about throughout the year, has been fantastic. I mean, this is a guy who simply just doesn't miss, has very good grades downfield. So Mac Jones with some great numbers through just 6 games. Kyle Trask has played in 6 games as well, 148 of 211, 2,100 yards passing, 28 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Those numbers are incredible, right? I mean, 28 touchdowns in just 6 games. His efficiency rating is 197.5, and he is 70.1 passing the football. I mean, those are fantastic numbers. Anyone you split it. I mean, credit to the kid for really improving his craft. We watched him last year. I liked him. He wasn't as complete as he was this year. So kid's balling out. You got to think when you look at NFL-type quarterbacks, who wouldn't want him on your team? Same with this next guy, Trevor Lawrence. He's played in 6 games as well. Missed those last 2 against Boston College and against Notre Dame. 135 of 191, 1,800 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 70.7% passing, rating of 178.6. Great numbers by Trevor Lawrence. Still considered the number 1 pick clearly within the 2021 NFL draft. I mean, the kid has it all. We'll see how he does down the backstretch. He's going to have some more opportunities to be in the limelight. You look at that ACC championship game. You got to think Clemson almost a lock to make the playoffs. We're going to see more of Trevor Lawrence going forward. Justin Fields. Now, he has 5-2 odds to win the Heisman Trophy, but he's only played in 3 games. And when you kind of look at Missouri's resume, I mean, what have they really done so far in the early part of the season, right? I mean, they beat Penn State. They haven't won a game. They beat Nebraska. They beat Rutgers, right? So we're still waiting for that moment for Justin Fields to have. Now, they do take on Indiana in this next week. All eyes will be on that one with the way the Hoosiers have been playing recently. 72 of 83, 980 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 86.7%, 222.4 rating in just 3 games. So, I mean, you look at those numbers overall. I mean, how is he going to fare against Indiana and kind of going forward? So he doesn't have the numbers that those other guys have. So I'm kind of surprised that he still has those same odds to win the Heisman Trophy when he's only played in half of the games that the other quarterbacks have played in. All right, couple more quick items to get to before we wrap it up right here on Bama Insider. Again, please hit the thumbs up button, like and subscribe. We appreciate you checking out all our content right here on BamaInsider.com. We put so much work into our content, and we hope that you are enjoying our content coming to you. I know Alabama has had 2 back-to-back open weeks, and something that we're not accustomed to in the college football world, but we still want to provide content for you. So please hit the thumbs up button, like and subscribe. It really helps our business grow, to be honest. So we sincerely appreciate you guys listening. Quickly, Kevin Harris is second. He's a redshirt freshman, entered the NCAA transfer portal. That was on Friday. He is the second player to enter the NCAA transfer portal from the University of Alabama this season, along with Ismail Sobcher, both those guys redshirt freshmen that are in the NCAA transfer portal. Now, I said it before and I say it again, just because these guys are in the transfer portal doesn't mean that they're going to completely exit out. It means they can start talking to other programs and see where they might fit a little bit better. Now, Nick Saban can also talk to these guys and have them come back. And we've seen that several times in the past. Kind of the example of that is Scooby Carter, who was like in the portal, then out of the portal. So things change. The transfer portal is always a fluid situation, but 2 players that are redshirt freshmen. And I think when you kind of look at why these guys are exploring the transfer portal is because, there's been freshmen that have played over them, quite simply. For example, Ismail Sobcher, as soon as Tim Smith started getting onto the field, Jamil Burrows, those guys, Ismail Sobcher, basically, he said, look, I'm not going to get my opportunity. These guys are either more talented than me or, there's something else. So he hit the NCAA transfer portal. And, hey, look, if these players have better options at somewhere else to get on the field, I get it. If these players want to sit and wait, that's part of it. I mean, you look at a guy like Mac Jones, for example. I mean, that guy could have dipped out a long time ago and been a starter, a lot earlier than he is now. Imagine playing behind Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa. I get it. I mean, it's a different case for every single player. Kevin Harris, outside linebacker, saw 0 snaps through 6 games, and you start to look at who's playing above him. Well, number one, William Anderson, and then you also have Drew Sanders. Both those guys are freshmen, so it is what it is, and that's kind of the world that we're in right now with the college football transfer portal, and we'll keep you posted on where those guys do end up if they do make a decision to bounce out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Hey, fam, well, I hope you have a fantastic Sunday with your friends, with your family, with your loved ones, and I appreciate you guys checking out our latest video right here on BamaInsider.com. I'm coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Definitely stick around tonight as we got a show coming up with Mick Gillespie talking about this next week of college football right here on BamaInsider.com. Have a great day, friends, and we'll talk to you soon right here on BamaInsider.com.